Ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today we're working on this little Honda-powered Toro Recycler 22. Now, it's sat around a while, and it looks like it's been tinkered with a little, so we're going to have to be careful when we go over this one, make sure we don't miss anything. So, let's get started. Okay, just like every time, we're going to put a magnet right here, and this is where we'll keep track of our nuts and bolts. And that's pretty important when you're working on an engine, because there's nothing worse than having to spend half an hour searching for nuts and bolts and everything you took off when you're putting it all back together. So let's start off. Let's take the air cleaner off. And since she sort of kind of runs, we know what to expect on this one. We know what's going to happen. When your motor runs, but it runs badly, 90% of the time it's going to be the carburetor. On the Honda motor, you also have to watch the spring. The spring is crazy important. There we go. I'll put our plastic cover over there, put our bolts right there, and that way we know where they are later. Now, next up, we're going to turn the fuel off. Now, a lot of you know that I'm not super fond of the complexity of the Honda mowers, of the Honda motor, I should say. But having a fuel shut off is pretty unique to Honda and just a couple others. Okay, first thing I'm noticing is we don't have a spring here, and that's not good. But we can get another spring. That spring that goes here is used to keep tension between these two rods. It doesn't actually affect how it runs, but what it does is it keeps the rod from shaking on each end and wearing out the connectors on the carburetor and the governor arm. Okay, let go, buddy. There you go. Okay, let's look around a little bit more. Let's see if we find anything else. And I just noticed that the governor arm is moving without the governor arm's loose. We're missing the nut here. So we're going to have to run to the store and get a new, we're going to try to find a square nut that'll fit here. Or I'm sorry, a square bolt that'll fit here and put a new nut on it. Because that's not going to run correctly. See, I'm holding the governor still, and it's still not working. So we'll get a new nut here, and we'll get a new spring for this. And we're going to go ahead and rebuild the jets. Well, I'm sorry, clean the jets, which is pretty much everything you need to do to rebuild one of these little Honda carbs. So let's take her to the bench. Okay, grab our handy dandy 10 millimeter. There we go. Pull that out. Let's clean up our gas puddle real quick. When you see that gas puddle, you know that the floats are working correctly, because if they weren't, there wouldn't be any gas in the carburetor at all. Either that, or you'd have a giant leak where the gas is going everywhere. But one of the things we always check when we're not familiar with the mower is the oil level. If the oil looks really high, then the carburetor is probably dumping gas back into the engine. Okay, so now your jet's right here. Okay, that one doesn't quite reach. I'm going to grab our long skinny screwdriver to get the jet out. I've seen a couple of people say, oh yeah, but I can't do that fix as easily because I don't have an ultrasonic. You don't need an ultrasonic to do a 4-stroke carb. It comes in really handy with little 2-stroke carbs. With a 4-stroke carb, this is where all the money is. You don't have the 14 odd little passages that you've got with a 2-stroke carburetor. These are straight up. The gas goes up the middle, and that's that. If this is working correctly, the carburetor is working correctly. Oh. There you go. Our needle just fell out. Okay, you can see we got it loose, and you see it didn't come out. The secondary threads that hold this bolt tie up this little, they tie up on the threads of the jet a lot. Okay, we're almost there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the edge of the bench. And there we go. Sometimes they're not that easy, but this time it came out pretty easy. Now down in the center here, I don't know if you can see it. Let's throw a little light on the subject. Down in the center of the carburetor, if you look, you'll see a little brass thing sticking up. Now with your jet out, you can just push that down and it'll pop right out. Most of the time it'll push down pretty easy. Just like that. And there it goes. That's your emulsifier. You can see she's looking pretty bad. She's as dirty as anything. But clean and working good are two different things entirely. So what we're going to do is we're going to find every little hole on the side of the emulsifier. And we're going to go up the middle. Now you see I'm holding the emulsifier to one side and rotating it around. That way I know the wire is rubbing the edge all the way around. Now when I look down the side of this through the holes, I can actually see daylight from one side to the other, so I don't have to worry about that. This may be ugly, but it's good to go. Putting it through the ultrasonic would only make it shiny. It would not make a difference. Now we're going to take the jet. I felt a little thump as the jet went through, and that's a good thing. And that's that. Now we're going to spray the insides with carb cleaner so that anything we've shaken up blows through to the other side, and we're done. And that's just about everything you need to know about that carburetor. Now notice you've got an end that's short and an end that's long. The long end goes in first. And just so you know, the jet won't go in correctly going the other way. Get our jet very carefully threaded back in. And keep in mind that jet's not going anywhere. Don't go crazy tight on it, because you don't want to tear the jet up and make it hard for the next guy. Okay, now we're going to hang our needle on our float and get her back in place. Where are you at? Whoops. See, now we're doing the part that requires coordination, and that's just not me. We know little engines pretty well, but we're not super coordinated. There you go. Now she's in a good place. I tend to go through life a little bit on the fast side. I like to hurry everywhere I go. It's like if I'm in Disney World, when I go on a ride, I want to run to get to the next ride. So patience isn't always my best friend. But when you're working on an engine, be patient, take your time. Remember that you'll go 100 times faster if you do it the first time correctly. Okay, now this carb has not been through the ultrasonic, and you see we didn't even clean the outside of it, which is going to drive me crazy thinking about it, but we don't have to make it run. To make it run correctly, this is all you have to do to it. So let's get her back on the engine and hear her run. Okay, as Hondas go, this has got a pretty simple little linkage system for the carburetor itself. Actually, whoops. Let's do this. I think this is how it went through the factory. And it's always good to match up the way it's supposed to be, not the way you got it. Where are you at? There you are. I'll put a spring right here. And I'm guessing somebody took this governor arm completely off. God knows why the nut's off of it, or the nut and bolt. There we go. Remember that you want to go in the reverse order of the way you started. Since this was the last thing to come off, it's the first thing to go on. Next up was the fuel line, so we'll do it next. That's important, especially on a Honda, because once we get this carburetor bolted up to the engine, there's not going to be any room to fool around. So we've got our backing gasket. Now I'm just looking at it to make sure that this gasket goes on the same way it came off. And that would be right here. And I compare it to see how it lines up. And it looks good, it looks good, it looks good. Okay. Now for the fun part, getting the cover on. Now some of these covers have little rings here, and other ones have these bolts with this little shank on them. So don't switch them between machines. So if you've got one, the other one's not going to work decently. Up, 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 up. There we go. There's one. There's the other one. Now while we've got this rolled over, we'll get our crankcase line on. Then we'll put our gasket in place. Double checking and then triple checking. Put our base plate on. Now we just rotate her into place and we're done. So the only thing we've got left on this bad boy is the bolt for this. I'm not going to start it without that because it'll do one of two things. It'll either not run at all or it'll run crazy fast. Okay, let's see about a new air filter, just because. Shiny new air filter. Now I've already checked the fuel in this and we've got good to go fuel. So the only thing left is this one bolt. So I'm going to go get a bolt and we'll be back shortly. Okay, I made a quick adjustment on the governor. I moved the arm forward just a little bit, bring the idle down some. So let's give her a run. She sounds really nice now. She's not quite as excitable as she was before. This one's ready to go. It's 94 degrees here and it's only 11:30 in the morning, but summer's almost done. So this mower came out really nice. I was pretty happy with the way she sounded. I didn't show adjusting the governor just because it's a very tedious process. I had to do it 3 or 4 times where I held the post still and moved the arm just a touch and tightened it until I found the sweet spot. 99% of the time, you'll never touch the governor. And if you're not sure, leave it alone. So, all you new people out there, if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. It's free, and it's what we work for in all this heat. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.